Today we're going to talk about the Chapter 1 notes on matter. This is the first of 3 sections dealing with Chapter 1. When we talk about matter, we're talking about things that we can see, feel, hear, any of your senses, along with any time we have a chemical reaction. So the first thing you're going to notice are the properties of matter. There are 6 specific properties to identify something physically. So you have the hardness, the texture, the shape, the temperature, the flammability, and color. So if you look at any of those items that I have to the right on the screen, such as the teddy bear, you can describe it by its shape, the color. There could be a brown bear, a black bear, a rainbow bear. Flammability, is it flammable or not? The temperature of it at room temperature, or does the temperature change over time? That's another way of talking about temperature. As well as the texture and the hardness. Is it soft, hard? Is it fluffy? All sorts of things. So these are 6 key properties to be aware of that help us to identify a property of identify matter by these 6 physical properties. Okay? Now, when we're talking about matter, we're talking about a component of chemistry. And chemistry is the study of the composition, structure, and properties of matter and the changes it undergoes. That's a fancy book definition. Chemistry is the study of matter and how it changes. That's the easy way to remember it. Okay? When we talk about matter, we're talking about 3 different types or kinds of matter. Currently, there are 118 on the periodic table. Elements are the smallest type of matter, and they are made up of tiny particles called atoms. We identify elements on the periodic table using their symbols. A symbol is either 1 or 2 letters, and if there are 2 letters, such as the iron here on the screen, the first letter is capitalized and the second letter is lowercase. Now, the second type of matter or kind of matter is called a compound. That is 2 or more elements chemically combined in a specific ratio to create something new. So in this picture, I have water, H2O. There are 2 atoms of hydrogen to 1 atom of oxygen. They are always in this set ratio of H2O. If I wrote it as H2O2, I would be making a new compound called hydrogen peroxide, not heavy water. So you have to identify that formula that's going to show the ratio of elements in that compound. The third kind of matter is called a mixture. Now, a mixture is made up of 2 or more substances. Those substances could be 2 or more elements combined, but they don't change chemically. You're not making something new. It could be a combination of elements and compounds, a combination of just a bunch of different compounds, all sorts of things. The key thing is mixtures are not chemically combined. You do not create something new. So while this is a picture of trail mix that they do sell in stores and people think this is great, I myself do not like raisins. So Miss O trail mix would have maybe some sort of cereal, probably not, but peanuts, M&Ms, maybe pieces of chocolate, maybe some other things in there, but definitely no raisins. You have to remember everything keeps their own individual properties. So when we talk about physical changes of matter, we're talking about states of matter or phases of matter. The material does not change into something different. It's still the same. Your book talks about solid, liquid, and gas. There is a 4th stage called the plasma, which is above the gas phase, and it's when the energy moves around. Maybe you have a plasma TV at home. It would be using plasma energy. So in our example, we have water. Water is solid when it gets to be about 0 degrees Celsius. It turns to a liquid a little above there, and it changes to water as a gas in the vapor stage at 100 degrees Celsius. All we've done is change the temperature, and as the temperature changes, water changes its phase or state of matter. So section 1 review questions. The first question is asking you, how can you identify the properties? And we can use those 6 basic properties to identify, including hardness, texture, shape, color, flammability, and temperature. Question 2 was asking you what the building blocks of matter were. So they are the elements. Question 3, in a physical change, the state of matter changes. In a chemical change, you make something new. That's how you identify the two different types of matter. You can have a physical or chemical change. Question 4 is asking you, well, what's the difference between a formula and a symbol? A symbol helps you identify which element or elements are involved in the compound. A formula shows the ratio of those elements in a compound. When we talk formulas in science, we're either talking about a formula to help us identify what elements are in a compound, or a formula for a math equation, and pretty much we would let you know which one we're asking for. Now the last question, this one does not give you the answer within the reading. You have to infer or figure it out. So they gave you a bunch of information and wanted to know if you could identify it as water. And the answer is no. That solid cannot be frozen water because it would have to melt at room temperature. It also freezes at 0 degrees Celsius and it boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Just as a side note, water is also colorless and odorless. All right, that's the end of the section 1 notes. Click on the other two videos, section 2 and section 3, to complete your notes.